So we're going to have a look at triangle breathing or triangular breathing. Now, triangle breathing introduces breath holds to somebody who's not familiar with that. And it's a way of finding a sense of a still mind and peace with the breath. Some people really like the in-breath hold, and some people really like the out-breath hold. Now, I've had a look already at the relationship of breath holding to emotional holding or emotional suppression, and had a look at how cultivating the out-breath hold really releases the diaphragm when you can get that stretch open into Uddiyana Bandha, when you can get those ribs drawing those tissues open. Now, this practice doesn't go into the depth of understanding of Uddiyana Bandha, but it's a very, very useful practice. And again, we've got a range of ways of approaching it. So I'm going to do, let me think, 4 different approaches here. 4 different, very simple approaches to the practice. So the first one, again, sitting tall, sitting erect. If you're working with a client who's really sick, say for example they may have muscular sclerosis, maybe they can't move that well, you can do these practices lying down. You make exceptions where you need to. You change things where you need to. You make it work for people. Yeah, I mean, breath work and yogic type stuff can have immense benefit for people with MS. It can give longer periods of remission between crises. The same with rheumatoid arthritis. So if somebody's not able to sit upright, let's change the practices to make them work for people. So in which case then we lie down or do whatever is necessary to enable them to access that practice. However they can, sit up if you can. Great. Triangle breathing, you're going to be breathing through both nostrils. You're aiming to breathe through both nostrils equally. And at the beginning, we're not counting at all. We're just breathing in. Just breathing in through both nostrils. And we're going to start with the in-breath hold. So breathe in and just hold the breath in the body for as long as feels comfortable. And then breathe out through both nostrils until you finish the out-breath. Complete the out-breath. You know when you finish the out-breath because that little bit of muscle at the bottom of the belly just squeezes in that tiny little bit. Right? So if you look at the shape of the breath, it's an in-breath, it's an in-breath hold, it's an out-breath, which is why it's called triangle breathing. So you can work with that, and I recommend working with it, first of all, for people, just feeling how it feels to do that. How does it feel to breathe in like that? And focus on what feels good. Remember, we're following the nectar. So we're feeling good on the inhale. We're holding the breath as long as it feels good. We're releasing and letting go as long as it feels good. So in the initial stage of this, we're not counting or working in any mathematical relationship with the length of the hold or the breaths. We're simply feeling it. And that's a really good way to begin. Do that for a few breaths now and feel how it is. Let's do 9 breaths together. That's 1 breath for me. Keep going. Let's do 9 breaths. The thing is, you're really listening to the effortlessness here. Really tuning into how the breath feels. So it's a way of getting people into their bodies, into listening, into deep feeling, into the breath, into the tissues, into what's actually happening. And if any part of the breath is stressed or a bit sharp or staccato in any way, then you know to shorten the bit before. When we're listening to the breath, if the exhale feels a bit rough, it means the breath hold was too long. If the breath hold feels difficult, it means the inhale was too long. Yeah? Or you're pushing somewhere. So if we're pushing somewhere, pushing and holding the breath too much, it means that we're not listening because you're chasing the nectar. You're looking for the nectar here. And the breath hold will grow with practice. You will become an amazing breath holder, right? Just simply from doing it. So let's continue with the breath. A few more breaths like this. So this is the first practice. Triangle breathing, just feeling the breath, working out what feels good. It doesn't matter too much about the various lengths of the sides of the triangle. Second practice is working with holding the out breath. So you've got the in breath, straight into the out breath, and hold the out breath. Hold the out breath out of the body for as long as feels comfortable. So again, encouraging good listening, encouraging body listening, encouraging good feeling inside into what feels good. Yeah, and this is the upward pointing triangle. So in breath, straight into the out breath, into the external, the out exhale breath hold. Let's do some. Keep going with that. And feel the difference. Feel how it is in your body. Which breath hold feels better? One of them probably will. Maybe they're both good. Do you encourage people to start getting into the breath hold through this practice? It's a really good beginning level practice of breath holding. And of course, that's going to build carbon dioxide resilience. They're going to get comfortable with higher levels of carbon dioxide in the blood. And of course, when there's higher levels of carbon dioxide in the blood, particularly around the muscular tissues and the organ tissues, then there's more oxygen going to get into those tissues. This is a good thing to do. So that's 2 practices so far. So we're going to count now on, so 4 on the inhale, 4 on the inhale breath hold, and 4 on the exhale straight into the inhale. So I'm going to count 4 for about 3 breaths, then I'm going to go up to 5 and then up to 6, just to try it, just to play with it. And again, you can see how that feels in your system. If 6 feels like a stretch, keep it to 5. Yeah, but let's have a go. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the hold. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the hold. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to 5 now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the exhale to 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Great. That gives you a sense of counted practice, and you can work with extending that count depending on the individual, depending on their capacity. You can do the same with the out-breath hold, obviously. So another way we can approach this one is by changing the dimensions of the limbs, if you like. So we can count, for example, 4 on the inhale, 7 on the hold, 6 on the exhale, or 4, 8, 8. So we can start to pay attention to the dimensions of the triangle and what it looks like, how it feels. Is it equilateral? Is it isosceles? And so on. We can pay attention to those qualities of the triangle. So let's just play with that for a little bit. So we're going to do a 4 on the inhale, a 7 on the hold, and a 6 on the exhale. Just to try that first of all, just two rounds. That's breathing in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And hold the breath out of the body. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7. And then breathing out 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. In 1, 2, 3, 4. And hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. We can do that with the inverse triangle as well, obviously. So let's try the inverse triangle one. Let's just breathing in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and breathing out 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, and the hold 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7. In 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7. Right. So that gives you a flavour of counting with the breath. Now, some yoga traditions do a lot of counting with the breath, and they have various different ratios they work with depending whether the in-breath is being held or the out-breath is being held. And the ratios, one of the classic ratios is 1 to 4 to 2 to 1. So whatever the count is on the inhale, that's the first one, the 1, it might be 4. That means that the breath hold on the inhale is going to be 16, and the exhale is going to be 8, and the out-breath hold is going to be 4. So that's one of the classic ratios from the yoga pranayama system, is 1 to 4 to 2 to 1. But there are others. And we can play with those and explore with those how they feel for our system. Now, I like the practices of not counting. That's one of my preferences, of really feeling and listening to the system. And of course, we can then also do a practice where we're counting on the inhale and then do no counting on the hold and count on the exhale. So let's try that one. We'll do a 5 and then a free time count on the hold, which makes it complicated to count. You have to do it for yourself then, and then double the length of the exhale. But we'll play with that a little bit, just for 2 rounds again. Okay, so that's 1 on the inhale, 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, and then hold as long as feels good, which means that I can't count you on the exhale. So you're going to have to count yourself on the exhale to the count of 10 to double the length of that exhale. Great, that'll do. So you get the idea. You've got triangular breathing with the in-breath hold and the out-breath hold. You can work on no count You can work on counting, and you can work on a combination of count and no count. So that's triangular breathing for you, which is a very, very fabulous practice. And somebody who's working, say, in a very highly stressful environment might find that very useful to do. You know, in the old days, people used to go for cigarette breaks. Well, these days we need to have breathing breaks. Go and do some triangular breathing for 5 minutes. It can make a difference to your life. Yeah. Of course, you know, one of the things we're looking at here is how to reduce inflammation in the system. All the diseases of modernity pretty much have some element of inflammatory cytokines involved with them. And what that means is the stress response is not going down. What happens with stress is it's rising, yeah, and it's never fully resolved. So we get this residual level of stress hormones running in the system and the inflammatory cytokines that go with that, and they're not pulling down. So we get diseases from arthritis, through to autoimmune disorders, through to cardiovascular system disorders, including strokes and heart attacks. You know, all this kind of stuff is all to do with excessive inflammation in the system, which isn't resolved. So with breath work, we can start to resolve that stuff. We can create states in the system whereby those inflammatory cascades are brought down, yeah, and that prevents the onset or ameliorates, if you've already got it, those conditions. Excellent. So triangle breathing is one of those practices that really helps that.